Ethan Hale did not believe in blind dates, not because he was cynical, but because he hated pretense. When you were a billionaire, people rarely saw you. They saw the money, the headlines, the empire. They saw business mergers and magazine covers, not the man who worked 16-hour days and returned home to silence. Yet his younger sister, Ava, had insisted. "You need a life, Ethan," she scolded, snatching his phone one afternoon and downloading the dating app herself. A real connection, not business dinners, not charity galas, someone who actually cares. He had sighed and let her take over, knowing she wouldn't give up until he agreed. And so, after weeks of gentle pressure and Ava practically threatening to drag him by the collar, he finally accepted a blind date, under a fake but harmless alias. A. Carter. No fortune attached, no flashy background, no hint of Hale Industries. Just a man hoping to meet someone who didn't know or care about his wealth. That evening, he walked into the private rooftop restaurant his assistant had booked under his anonymous name. The setting sun cast a golden sweep across the city skyline, reflecting off the glass panels like a river of light. The place was beautiful, warm lighting, soft music, and a quiet ambiance meant for intimate conversations. Ethan checked his watch. Early, as always, the hostess led him to a reserved corner table decorated with a single candle. He sat, feeling oddly nervous, a rare sensation for a man who negotiated billion-dollar deals without blinking. Maybe this would work. Maybe someone out there could see him, not the billionaire, not the empire, but the man who sometimes forgot how to breathe without expectations pressing on his chest. Minutes passed, then 30, then 45, he tried to brush it off. Traffic, nerves, cold feet. By the 1-hour mark, reality began to sink in. He waved a waiter over. "Could you check if my guest arrived?" The man returned with a sympathetic expression. "Mr. Carter, your date called. She said she needed to cancel. Something urgent came up." The words hit harder than Ethan expected. He nodded mechanically. "Thank you." The candle flickered, casting shadows on the untouched glass of water in front of him. He barely noticed the waiter stepping away or the couple at the next table glancing sympathetically in his direction. It wasn't the cancellation itself. He'd been stood up before, long ago, before the world knew his name. No, it was the reminder that connection was something money could never guarantee. That in the end, everyone walked away eventually. Ethan gathered his coat and left, the warm restaurant air giving way to the cool sweep of the evening breeze. He stepped into the private elevator and descended to the underground parking garage, a cavern of concrete lit by dim yellow bulbs. His polished black car waited in his reserved spot, its sleek lines reflecting the faint glow. But something else caught his attention. A figure, a woman, standing beside his car, hunched slightly, her arms wrapped around herself as if holding her own heart together. Her shoulders shook with quiet sobs, careful, muffled, the kind of crying done by someone used to not being heard. Ethan slowed, instinct replacing irritation. Not someone trying to damage his car. Not someone waiting for him. Someone braking. He approached gently, not wanting to startle her. "Excuse me," he said softly. The woman gasped and stepped back. She wiped her eyes quickly, embarrassed, keeping her gaze lowered. I'm sorry," she stammered. "I wasn't touching your car. I wasn't even. I just needed somewhere quiet. I'll leave." Her voice cracked on the last word, fragile like thin glass. "No, please," Ethan replied, raising a hand in reassurance. "You're not bothering me." For the first time she met his eyes, and Ethan felt something twist inside his chest. Her face was flushed from crying, her dark lashes wet. She looked young but exhausted, the kind of exhaustion that life carved into a person when they carried too much alone. He noticed the worn handbag clutched against her side, faded fabric, a loose stitch, and peeking from the top, a tiny blue dinosaur toy with one button eye missing. A child's toy, a mother's burden. He softened his tone even more. "Are you all right?" She tried to nod but failed. Her chin quivered, and another tear slipped out despite her effort to hide it. "I'm fine," she whispered. "Just a bad day." Bad days don't bring people to underground garages to cry alone, Ethan thought. "Can I help?" he asked gently. Something in his voice, quiet, respectful, warm, made her defenses crack. Her breath shuddered. "I lost my job today." The words tumbled out before she could stop them, and once they started, they didn't stop. "My son was sick at school. They called me to pick him up. My manager said leaving early meant I wasn't committed, and he fired me." Just like that, her hands trembled as she spoke. I tried to sound brave for my little boy, but when I came back out here, I just didn't know what to do next. Her eyes closed, and a fresh tear slid down her cheek. Rent is due tomorrow. I barely have grocery money. I don't have anyone to ask. I don't want pity, I just needed to cry somewhere no one would see. Ethan listened silently, the ache in her voice cutting through him. What's your name? He asked softly. Maya, she said, looking up hesitantly. A simple name, but it felt like the beginning of something. I'm Ethan, he said. Just Ethan. She gave a small nod, wiping her cheeks again. Sorry for ruining your evening. You didn't, not even close. His blind date, his empty table, the untouched candle, it all disappeared from his mind. Because fate had brought him something entirely unexpected. A broken moment, a vulnerable stranger, and a sadness he suddenly couldn't walk away from. Maya hesitated beside Ethan's car, wiping the last of her tears while trying to pull herself together. She didn't want to look weak, not in front of a stranger, not in front of anyone. Single mothers didn't get to break down. They swallowed their panic and prayed tomorrow would be better. But tonight she had cracked. And Ethan had been there to see it. I can call a taxi, she murmured, tightening her grip on her bag as if it held her last piece of safety. Ethan shook his head gently. Please, let me drive you home. You're upset, it's late, and taxis are scarce around here this time of night. Maya opened her mouth to refuse. That was her instinct. Refuse help, refuse kindness, refuse anything that made her feel indebted. But then her eyes met his, and she saw not pity, not superiority, but something rare. Genuine concern. Okay, she whispered, almost reluctantly. But only because I don't have money to waste tonight. A faint smile tugged at Ethan's lips, but he didn't comment. He simply opened the passenger door and waited for her to settle in. Once inside, Maya shrank into the seat, embarrassed but exhausted, her shoulders slumping. The drive started in silence. The city lights passed in soft blurs along the tinted windows. Maya twisted the strap of her bag nervously. Ethan finally spoke. How old is your son? She blinked, surprised he didn't start with probing questions or judgments. Noah, he's 4. Is he okay now? She nodded. He had a fever at school. They called me during my shift, and I left right away. I didn't even think, just ran. His health comes first. A small humorless laugh escaped her. My manager didn't see it that way. Ethan's jaw tightened. They shouldn't have fired you for that. Life doesn't care what's fair, she said softly. He didn't argue, not because he agreed, but because he understood what it felt like to be cornered by life's impossible timing. What kind of work did you do? He asked after a moment. Front desk at a budget hotel. Long hours, low pay, but flexible enough that I could manage daycare. She stared at her hands. Losing it, I don't know how I'll get by this month. Her voice trembled again, but she forced it steady. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed someone to listen. I am listening, Ethan said quietly. Maya swallowed hard, touched by the kindness in his tone. They drove through a modest neighborhood, rows of small apartments lit by single yellow bulbs. Kids' bicycles leaned against stair railings, laundry hung from balconies, and families hurried inside to escape the chill. This is me, she said, pointing toward a small, aging building. Ethan parked and turned off the engine. Before Maya could open the door, he said softly, wait. She paused. I know tonight was awful for you, he began. But would you allow me to take you to dinner? Nothing fancy, he added quickly when she stiffened. Just food, company. We both had rough evenings. She stared at him. You want to have dinner with me? She asked, disbelief lacing her voice. He smiled, warm and genuine. Yes, but, look at me. She gestured to her simple clothes, her tired eyes. I'm a mess, and you look like you stepped out of a magazine. Ethan laughed softly. Trust me, I don't care about any of that. I'd enjoy your company. Maya studied him for a long moment, searching for signs of mockery, hidden motives, anything that would expose him as another disappointment. But she found none. Okay, she whispered, but no fancy restaurants. Deal, Ethan said. He drove them to a small 24-hour diner tucked between a pharmacy and an old bookstore. Neon lights flickered above the entrance, and the windows displayed half-faded posters of milkshakes and burgers. Inside, the air smelled like warm bread and frying onions. Booths were worn but clean, and a friendly older waitress greeted them as if they were regulars. This is more my speed, Maya murmured, a shy smile blooming. They ordered burgers, fries, and lemonade. No champagne, No 5-course meals, just food two tired souls could enjoy without pressure. As they ate, conversation unfolded naturally. Maya spoke about Noah, how he loved dinosaurs, how he refused to sleep without his blue toy, how he asked every night if she was tired and kissed her cheek like a tiny guardian. Her eyes sparkled when she talked about her son, and Ethan felt his heart soften with every word. In return, Ethan told her small things about himself, not lies, but not everything. He said he ran a company but kept it vague. He spoke about overworking, about feeling alone, about wanting something real in his life again. He didn't mention the billions. He didn't mention the cancelled date. He didn't mention the penthouse overlooking the city. Because tonight he wasn't Ethan Hale, billionaire. He was just Ethan, a man who found comfort across a diner table from a woman who had every reason to give up but never did. Maya laughed more that night than she had in months. Her cheeks softened, her shoulders relaxed, and when Ethan joked about how his cooking once set off a smoke detector, she nearly choked on her fries. When they left the diner, the world felt lighter. Ethan walked her to her apartment door. A dim porch light flickered above them. Through the window, a small face pressed up against the glass, Noah, clutching his beloved blue dinosaur, his sleepy eyes widening as he recognized his mother. Maya turned to Ethan, emotion thick in her voice. "Tonight, you helped more than you know," she said. "I thought I was drowning, and then you showed up out of nowhere, being kind to a stranger." Her eyes glistened, not with sorrow this time, but gratitude. Ethan felt something shift in his chest, subtle yet powerful. Something he hadn't felt in years. "I'm glad I was there," he said. She looked at him, really looked at him, as if memorizing his face. "I don't usually trust people. But, thank you, Ethan." He nodded slowly. "I'd like to see you again. If you'll let me." Her lips parted in surprise. "You would." "I would," he said softly. "Very much." She hesitated only a moment before smiling, gentle, hopeful, unsure, beautiful. "Okay," she whispered. "I'd like that too." As Ethan walked back to his car, a strange warmth filled him. His blind date had cancelled. His evening had fallen apart. But fate had better plans. Instead of the woman he was supposed to meet, he had met the woman he was meant to find. And something deep inside him told him, this was only the beginning.